Chipping is a small village which is located 11 miles northwest of Preston. Approximately 1 mile in radius, with a population of 1,000. It's hard to believe that this quaint little village is home to so many supernatural occurrences. The most famous ghost that haunts Chipping is that of Elizabeth Dean, who died on November the 5th, 1835, at the tender age of 20, and whose body rests in the local churchyard. It is believed that Elizabeth's spirit remains here at the Sun Inn, where she lived and worked as a servant. Steve the landlord, his wife Jan, and the staff at the Sun Inn have all had several visits from beyond the grave. So why does Elizabeth Dean continue to haunt 165 years after her death?
Locals say, ever since we've been in here, they've always said if there's a wedding, which we get quite a few across the road at the church, if there's a wedding you'll see Lizzie. As I say, we've been here 2.5 years. We came in November 97. We didn't see anything that you could say was a ghost until we actually got married ourselves in October of 99. And then the staff and everybody around started saying that they'd heard things, seen things, felt things.
Well, I think that ghosts, as far as I can understand it, from what people would say, is that it's not somebody being reincarnated. It's as though there's this area, this grey area, which perhaps a spiritualist would have more more to say on than I would. A grey area where people are not at rest. Because our great prayer for the dead is that they may rest in peace. That's always our prayer. Requiescat in pace, that they rest in peace.
We'd locked the pub up. It'd been a quiet lunchtime. All the doors were shut, all the windows were shut, and it was, I must verify, it was a calm day. 2 directors from the brewery came to see us just to talk about how things were going. And we're all stood at the corner of the bar. And then all of a sudden one of the directors said, "Oh my God." And the door, the interior door to the rear exit of the pub, swung wide open and then closed slowly again to full extent. It opened, and they stood there and saying, "What on earth caused that?"
Well, the story I heard, I haven't read it, but like, she was a servant at the Sun Inn, and she was going to get married, and the day she was going to be married, she got up out of in her bedroom, like, which looked over the Sun Inn, and she saw her husband to be getting married to somebody else, so she hung herself. That's the story I know.
Great many of the locals talk about her, but it is a persistent story, isn't it, round the Sun Inn?
Several years back, we had in our snooker room upstairs 5 gents playing snooker of reasonable age, in the 50s, in the 40s, and they actually saw Lizzie in detail. She actually walked down the stairs from the room that she used to occupy upstairs in full maid's outfit, black and white, with the apron, with the headpiece on, etc. Down the stairs into the pub, and they heard her open this door at the bottom, which creaks, it's got a squeak to it. They heard that open, they chased downstairs after her. Of course, when they got downstairs, there were people drinking. This was in an evening, and nobody had passed.
I used to think spoons were disappearing, and then 2 or 3 days later the drawer would be back full again, but whether that was just coincidence or I don't know.
Jan, myself, Simon and Sharon, who's our chef, we sat around the bar just talking about the events that had happened during the week and what we were going to do, orders, etc. In the corner of my eye, I saw somebody walk past me with a dark hooded coat on, which could have been a duffel coat. That's this door here. There's then a hatch next to the bar, which is about 3 foot away from the door. I looked and saw this shape walk past and open the door, which had a glass pane in it. The door shut, and I could see the shadow of the person through the glass walking out of the pub. Simon ran from behind the bar, round the bar, which took him about 2 seconds to go through the door, and there was nobody there, and there was nobody on the street outside, so somebody's just walked out to the pub, and they've vanished, literally vanished.
We don't have more than one life, that we are, each of us, uniquely who we are here and now, and that we remain who we are for all eternity, and that here is a time when when the die is cast, so to speak, when we make our decisions, and that we don't get more chances to, if we make wrong decisions. I don't think we can come back and sort of rectify the wrong decisions that we made.
Guy in the village, Wilf, that was here for 3 years, I think it was. He didn't say anything, but prior to that, Ted Oakes, he regularly had sightings. He actually stated a funny saying in saying that he met Lizzie. The first time he saw Lizzie, she was going up his rear passage, which made everybody laugh. That was actually stated on radio. Prior to that, prior to Ted Oakes being here, there was a guy by the name of Jim. I don't know his full name. God bless him, he died in November. He came to see me on a Sunday lunchtime with his wife. He'd be in his late 80s, and he used to live actually above the pub. We're actually next door in the cottage, and he started to say that he'd seen Lizzie on numerous occasions in detail. His wife broke in and said that they used to be laying in bed, and Lizzie used to always walk towards Jim in the bedroom, and Jim used to dive underneath the covers, but she'd sort of fade away as she got near to the bed. Well,
it's a very kind of romantic, melodramatic story, isn't it? It probably makes a good story for the sale of ale, I should think.
Yeah, it'd be an easy thing to do, wouldn't it? To advertise the fact you've got a ghost in the pub, but that's something that we thought about doing to add custom, but we don't do it. We don't do it. People come in, we put the poem of Lizzie Dean out, which a young lady wrote a few years back, but it's just out of general request from people. We could splash it on boards outside the haunted pub with chipping, etc., but we don't do it for business, because I think there are more people that are sceptical about the subject than people that want to know about it, so I think you get laughed at.
Whether these accounts are fact or fabrication, there is no doubt that many of the folk of Chipping genuinely believe that their village is the most haunted village in England.